Okay, well, my name is Douglas John. I'm a designer of sorts. My main focus would be carnival costuming, set design, event management. That's basically the scope of work. Well, my profession professionally is I'm a full time designer, and we do different things. Of course, costume design is my main focus, as well as I do wedding gowns and we do different types of design as well. So that is my main thing. And I do have a company that is set for production of the costume designs for the different carnivals worldwide. So that keeps me busy for the full 24 hours a day for the entire year. So that's as much time as I can get. Well, I mean, that's a good question. Why? Coming from a financial background in terms of education, I also veered off into engineering, but I always had a passion for being creative. And the whole engineering thing worked out in the sense of I was creative in a different way, but I had the passion for costume design, set design, even aesthetics for movies and stuff. So my passion what drove me to be what I am today in that sense. So I kind of followed. I'm one of those guys that was able to follow my dream to where I would like to be a professional designer and pretty much specialize in my field of choice. So that kind of took some years and I kept pushing to be where I needed to be. So that's the reason why I have chosen this profession. Well, if I'm understanding correctly, I have done several things throughout, and I have actually been part of the Disney Corporation. And from there, I have pretty much learned my skill set that I have today. And since then, of my departure, I have led into this scenario where we have done things like the Miss Universe pageants, where we've put on shows and this full events. We've been part of Macy's parade out of New York for Thanksgiving. So those are the kind of things that we have done. I was actually part of the whole festival in Geneva in Paris once, which was a whole festival that surrounded the whole carnival. It's not the same to my side of the world, but it's pretty much that. And we have explored a lot of events and festivals worldwide where we bring bands and shows to the streets or theaters, depending on the particular country that I actually working for. Currently, as you know, the whole pandemic has pretty much slowed down the entire industry. The entire creative industry is very slow. We are now picking back up speed. So I'm hoping that in the very near future, we would have more festivals, more street parades. The recent one that I've been involved with was Miami Carnival, and it was the first one since this COVID pandemic had hit, since for the last 2 years. It turned out to be very successful, and that was the best thing that happened for us creatives in this type of industry. So I'm hoping that 2022 does bring us more eventual events for us to take part in and show our creative side, etc.
I hope to.
Yeah, I hope so.
Which event do you prefer to work with?
Oh, definitely the street parades. I prefer because you see thousands of people in
Yes.
your creations. But I have a love and desire to do Broadway style shows for theater,
Yes.
where I can get intimate with the actual design and concepts. That is my preferred event, as you would call it, or creative space that I, as a designer, love to do. I love creating unique pieces, even though the street parades, they have thousands of people wearing the same thing, like that of Brazil or in London or right here in Trinidad and Tobago. I like to do original one off pieces for different clients, and theater seems to be my outlet that I would prefer if I had to choose. So basically, different festivals I've worked at worldwide.
Mm.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Here in the Caribbean, we have many carnivals, festivals. So It's countless countries. It's Trinidad, it's Jamaica, Barbados, Antigua, the whole Caribbean region. I've also been, of course, in the U.S., which is New York, Miami, Boston, Orlando. These different events, and then on the other side of Europe, I'm big in London. London is one of my favorite festivals to create in. I've done Japan. We have done work for, of course, Paris, as I mentioned earlier. So worldwide, that's pretty much where my travels have taken me. I'm soon to be departing for Dubai, should that, if all well happens with the whole pandemic.
Yeah.
And we have a show that will happen hopefully this summer in 2022. So it's a new place for me that I've never been to. I'm excited to see how that works out.
And what was your favorite country or city where you worked?
I would have to say London,
Why?
hands down. In London, I felt that I can be more creative from the costume aspect.
Okay.
Every festival or costume market, they have a certain style or a preference in costume. So you kind of are in a mold to design to suit them. But in London, I've always felt that I can be unique, I can be creative. So I would do unique pieces for London, which appeals to me as a designer. So hands down, I would think London is my number one place that I have worked and I'm happy to work for. This is going to be my 24th year that I've been designing, professionally.
Yeah.
Even though I've had my financial career, I've always had in between free time to keep creating and be a designer. So this is my 24th year that I will be celebrating that. Oh, yes. As I started in my early career, I have been a financial planner for a conglomerate company here in Trinidad and Tobago called Clico. And I've also been in that particular space as an efficiency consultant for the same company, but it's different branches. And from there, I guess I was very fortunate that I was part of Disney's program. So my creative career actually started at a young age during that financial career. So that has always been my point before I started being a full-time designer. I was actually in the financial sector. Oh, well, I mean, I'm not much of a social media person. I do have different platforms, but because I'm in business with different carnival bands worldwide, we will always have our Instagram pages and social media platforms. Personally, I have my own page, which is Carnival.D, Douglas John, which you found me on. And of course, there is the social media platform Facebook. I'm under Douglas John. Pretty much that's where I am because the other pages are interacted by my other partners for the other carnival bands that I'm involved with. So it's so many to mention, but that's my direct Instagram page where you would find me and some of my work there displayed.
You have not a website?
No, I actually don't have a website. It's by choice. It's just because I'm a small business and I prefer to be this size because I can give it 1000% of my time.
Yeah.
And my clients, they do keep me very busy. And I take the opportunity to choose the jobs that would suit my, I guess, talents and my love for it. So although it's a business as well, it's also a love for me. So I choose the jobs that I require, and websites. My products are more handcrafted for each person that I'm getting involved with, for each client, each company, each business. I would say mixed emotions. I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
I am really, really excited when I start something new.
Yeah.
And then along the way of the process, I get really frustrated and stressed out because sometimes it doesn't work or I have to change things along the way. So it's a bit mixed emotions for projects that I am working on and the events or festivals or the big jobs. there is what I call the stress factor of trying to be perfect or trying to be the best that I can be. So I put a lot of stress on my own self to be better than I was in the last job. So it's a bit of a love hate scenario that happens to me, which
And
is fine. I mean, I'm sure every creative person goes through that whole process. So they will know what I'm talking about. It's different for every client and every job that I do. Sometimes I would think of what is needed. I get a lot of information from the clients or from the bands that I work with. They're looking to do a certain style, and I would adapt mentally. But I get a lot of inspiration from what I see. It's a very difficult thing for me to explain, but I work best under seeing different things happening worldwide. Or if I turn towards fashion, if I turn towards a certain style of movie, I would look at lines, color schemes, musical scores, anything that would help me get my mind, I guess, creative juices going. So it comes sometimes. I would dream it. It just comes to me. I'm very fortunate in that way. But sometimes I would work really hard in trying to create the best product for the client that I have. So I would extract the information that I think I would need by asking 10 million questions to get where I need to be. And then I would go and sketch what I'm trying to put out there, show them. So my inspiration comes from different places, talking to people. I would get ideas just from talking to somebody about their experiences or their things that they see through their own eyes. And I would take up something completely different from what they're explaining because I guess all our brains work differently. When you see or hear or smell certain things, it depends. It's a weird question to answer, and I think my best answer put forward is I'm very fortunate that it comes to me while I'm thinking about it.
which advice can you give to someone who wants to do the same thing of you?
Ooh, oh boy. Don't do it. No. um, best advice I can give would be follow your own path. It's weird for me to say that. When you look up to people who are creative, artistic, in any way, you tend that you would want to follow their footsteps. My advice would be follow your own dreams. Use all our experiences and our work, things that make you happy from seeing it. Let that be your own motivation to follow everybody in their footsteps, if that makes any sense. And the advice I would give is don't ever think you cannot do it and don't give up because once you do, you fall so far behind that you have to overcome your own thoughts on how to get where you need to be. So for me is follow your dreams, be passionate about what you do, listen, and I think once you follow those simple guidelines, you will always have that self motivation to keep pushing yourself forward in this creative field or to be the best producer you can be out there in the world. I just think following your own path and your own footsteps is the best advice that I can give. Oh, well, because of the pandemic, we have,
I'm not sure.
like, if I had my way,
Yeah.
I am slam booked for this entire year and 2 years in advance. That's how we are normally booked. I'm super busy with different events and creations and stuff like that. But right now, it's all on paper. It's all ready to go once we get the green light that everything goes according to plan. So we have a massive show in Dubai coming up in summer
Okay.
that I'm hoping that is going to happen. We do have other festivals that is happening in the US, which is Atlanta Carnival in May. We've got Bermuda, we've got Barbados. So there are carnivals that happen from early February, go straight down to October. I'm on a plane every 2 weeks, somewhere in the world, I am some other location. So if all goes well in this pandemic and things are somewhat back to normal in 2022, I hope that my next step would be in February, that we would be preparing for Atlanta Carnival, the full production, hundreds of costumes, and be in our element again. That's the plan. That's what I'm hoping for.
Have you something more to say about you or about your work? You are free, you can take your time.
Well, for me, what I can say about my work is I think that I try to be the best designer I can for my clients. And what I mean about that is sometimes my ideas, even though I would intertwine it with what they're expecting, I seem to find a balance every time that I do it between clients, what they're looking for, and my love for what I'm doing. I've always managed to find that balance. For me, I would always like to be a standout creative, to be original. And I'm slowly getting there because I'm getting my way every time I pick up the pen and paper and then I physically go in the workshop and do it. I think that clients are allowing me, because of the years of experience that I have, you have free reign. And I get really excited when I hear that word. So I tend to balance what is required on the business side of things. And then on the creative side of things, there are jobs that I get to do that shows my creativity. So sometimes, I mean, I know this is bad. I don't post enough of my work because there's so much to post and try to explain the backstories behind it. But I try to show sketches and show the creations of how I come about the work. What you will know about me is I'm very, very passionate about the things that I do. My creation speaks volumes about me. You will expect something new with me every step of the way. Sometimes it'll be like, I have a lot of clients and friends like, what will I try next? What will I do next? And there's always something new that I've never seen. And I think I pride myself in pushing to be different. Although I get a lot of inspiration from different creatives around the world, but I use their thoughts to help me get better what I do. So I may be 99 years old and still trying something new to be better than I was before. I'm never too old to learn. I'm never too young to take advice. Yeah, that's what I think is my biggest thing about me is I'll never stop learning and I'll never stop trying to be creative and new. So I hope that answers your question as best as
Yes,
I
yes,
could.
yes, yes.
Yes. Well, I would say to everybody, I'm happy to be part of this whole process. Uh, Showcasing us creators, it's a massive accomplishment, and I hope in the future that we love each other, we follow the guidelines, we all be safe during this pandemic time, and look out for what Douglas John is going to do next in the near future. And I'm trying to come out with something brand new every time. So for all those who are looking on, thank you for being part of this whole process, and look forward to what I'm going to come out with in the following years.
Thank you.
Or if I have anything more to say,
Yes.
um, I just think we all have our platforms, we all have our talents, and I think follow your dreams. As I said before, focus on life ahead. Life is very precious to all of us. Some of us are creative, some of us appreciate the art, some of us appreciate the financial side of things. Do what you do best, and this world needs every one of us to be a part of it.
Thank you.
Got you. You're most welcome, Johanna, and I appreciate the kind words. You keep good. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
So,
Ciao.